A good bowl of pho is transcendent. It has the ability to warm the soul, satisfy a craving, and eradicate a hangover, sort of all at the same time. To deliver you the very best at-home pho recipe possible, we're gonna take a peek into the professional world and take a field trip to a pho restaurant to see how these chefs move and operate. Then we'll come back to the crib where I will translate all of the pro tips and insights gained to the home kitchen setting. Let's go. We're here with Anthony and Nate, the masterminds behind Phodega here in the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago, and they're gonna give us some insights on how to make pho like the professionals, right boys?
Yes, sir.
Hit it, hit it. Ooh, ooh. All right, let's do it. All right, so pho is a 3-step process, you said?
Pretty much a 3-step process. The day before is when we start doing the parboil for the bones, and then we get the bones in the water overnight.
Okay.
I just turned this up in the morning when I got in.
Yeah.
So that's why it's starting to boil.
Word.
Pretty much right now, the second step is when all the good stuff happens. So like right now, we're gonna put all the briskets that we're cooking for the day in.
Dope.
So like right now, you get the water boiling, and then you start doing all the.
Is this cooked right now? This is
Parboiled also.
Parboiled.
So, yeah,
Oh, okay.
We pretty much just cook it just the outside, just to get rid of all the gunk and stuff, and then we'll start putting it in. And depending on what meat you're cooking, brisket we like to cook for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah. What do we got over here?
These are just roasted onions and ginger. We like to roast them first, and then we'll clean them up. It's still firm, but the outside is soft. You can touch them. We just scrape it off, clean it off, wash it off.
All right, make them kind of soft. That's it.
That's it.
All
Yep.
right.
We'll just start cutting them up. I like to keep it tied up at the bottom, so then that way later it's just easier to clean up, you know. And then same thing with the ginger. So you just mash it up to expose as much area as you can, you know.
Yo, that's genius.
Yeah, my pops was like, this way works better. Yeah, these are all our spices that we use.
So we got coriander, fennel, star anise, black cardamom, cinnamon.
One more.
Oh, clove.
And one more.
Oh, what is it?
The green cardamom. Not too many people use green cardamom.
Interesting. All in the strainer.
Yeah, all in the strainer.
Ooh. In she goes.
Yep.
Just
And she
Titanicing to the bottom.
And then these are our seasoning.
Ooh, is that rock sugar?
Yeah. Rock sugar is a must.
Yeah.
MSG is a must.
100%.
People that make pho without MSG is not really pho.
Call it the
Where did you get that hat?
I made it.
You made it? Oh, nice. You brought us some.
Dude, I'll send you guys some.
Rock sugar,
Yeah.
salt, and MSG. We like to use white rock sugar. You can use regular brown rock sugar also. The mix is about 1-to-1.
1-to-1.
1-to-1 rock sugar to salt, and then about 1/4 MSG. Yeah, so now we just let it come to a boil. We turn it down to a simmer. And then about 2.5 hours, when you feel the briskets at the right softness, then it's done.
Then it's done.
If you didn't have any meat or any brisket in there, about 2 hours, you should be good to go. Yeah, so that's it with that.
Word. We just took care of the broth. Now Nate is gonna show us how to build the bowl and all the other components that go into pho over at the other location. So yeah, let's hit it. Where do we start?
Start here with the noodles. We use a pad thai noodle, and these are fresh noodles. We get them frozen, but they're not dried, so
cool.
You gotta keep
not
them
dried. All right. So these just take how long? Like a couple minutes?
Not even.
Not even.
You want to have the water rolling, so you can usually do it in like 15, 20 seconds.
Word. Look at the wrist. So pho ba.
Yep.
Pho ba.
Beef. Pho ba.
Pho ba. I got it one day.
Pho ba.
Pho ba.
Yeah, we'll start with our proteins.
Okay.
So we use ribeye here. The ribeye is nice because it doesn't get like hard after it cooks.
Yeah.
It still stays soft. You get brisket. This is
That's the brisket from.
the brisket from earlier. It's been chilled and then sliced. And then we use meatballs.
Look at that cross section right there. It's beautiful.
Sure. And then we hit it with a little bit of onion, cilantro, and green onion.
Cilantro, green onion, onion.
Sir.
Noodles in, beef on. That's it.
So let's wait for the soup to get the temperature, and then we can finish it off.
Word. Aromatics. Get smacked in the face with that. I love
When that smell comes in.
That's a thing of beauty, my friend. So we got our finished bowl here. What's in the sack?
All right, so here we got the veggie bag. We call these our veggie bags. Basil for aromatics. You got some jalapeno, lime if you want it sour, and then the rest of this is bean sprouts.
Look at that. You know we're going for the broth, baby. Dude, this can like cure many, many diseases. I'm not even sick and I feel like I'm getting better. Oh, damn, that's so good, man. Dude, let's go.
Hey.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Hey, yo. Thanks again for letting us in, man. Real quick, I want to talk to you about the Omnivorous Adam Patreon page. For less than a party-sized bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos, you can support the channel. We got exclusive giveaways, we got bonus content, we got special secret merch up on the website, and live cooking demos. But if you can't support, that's totally fine too. Come say what up in the Discord channel. That's open to everybody. That's all I got. Let's get back to the video. The heart and soul of pho is the broth. We got two types of bones here. We got some femurs, otherwise known as marrow bones, and some neck, beef neck. These are just a little meatier. Got about 4 pounds of each. I like to use femur bones to add body to the soup and meaty neck bones to impart a beefy flavor. This could be considered stage 1 of the broth. We need to blanch the bones and the brisket to purge out all the funk from deep within. I almost forgot, this is something that I learned at Phodega. This brisket's gonna create scum of its own, so why not get rid of it in the blanching liquid as opposed to your final broth? It's a pretty smart idea. Cover all of the bones and the brisket with water by a few inches, then bring the whole shadiddly to a boil. As things begin to simmer, little gray clusters of scummy protein are going to float to the top. These are totally harmless, but they will definitely cloud our final broth, so we need to remove them. Allow the soup to simmer for 30 minutes, skimming off all the gunk as it rises, and don't be afraid to slosh the bones around in the water to release more particulate matter. Remember, good pho broth should be brown but crystal clear. Get rid of as much scum as possible. Once time has passed and the scum turns from a chunky gray to more of a bubbly white, remove the bones and brisket from the soup. Rinse off the brisket, pat it dry, then store it in the fridge for now. We're gonna finish cooking it tomorrow. Back in the fridge with ye. Pour out that used up, farty beef water. Rinse off any excess scum from the bones as well, then set those aside and really scrub that pot clean. We don't want any of that nasty gunk getting into our broth again. Then add the bones back in and cover with some more fresh water. Now this will be simmering for a long time, so we're gonna add a little more water to this than just a couple inches. I'm maybe gonna cover it by 3 to like 5 inches, because it will evaporate slowly. That looks about right. You can always add more water later if you need to. And you definitely will, because this is gonna simmer for a while on low heat. So I got one of these nifty induction burners, but I realized not everybody has one of these. Since you're letting this thing roll for 18 to 24 hours, there are 2 things you can do. One, of course, you can just pop it on the back burner on your range, probably the most straightforward and obvious. Or 2, if having a live flame up here for an extended period of time spooks you, you can pop it inside your oven. Just put the racks on the lowest setting, turn it to about 200, 215 degrees Fahrenheit, and just let it do its thing in there. This is stage 2. This part takes the longest, but is definitely the most hands-off. As the bones simmer for 18 to 24 hours, skim off any remaining scum that floats to the top. If there's a little fat in the mix, skim it and save it. The beef fat is tasty, and I'll show you a little trick on how to use it later. Looking good. Like I mentioned, you are going to need to replenish that water as the broth simmers and the liquid evaporates. I like to keep a pitcher nearby to top it off when I notice it getting a little low. We are now entering stage 3, which is the final step in our pho broth journey. We need to toast off our spices in a dry sauté pan. Hit those over medium heat until the aroma hits you in the face and your kitchen smells like a glass of chai tea. Then, dump those directly into the broth. Off camera, I roasted off this chunk of ginger and whole onion in a 425-degree oven for 45 minutes. Half the onion, then smash the ginger with a heavy blunt object a la Phodega, and add those to the soup. Now grab the brisket from the fridge, unwrap it, and drop that in too. The seasoning consists of salt, rock sugar, and the God particle, aka MSG. The God particle. Now, all that's left to do is simmer the spiced soup on low. Alright, we're gonna let this simmer for 2.5 to 3 hours just until that brisket is tender, but in the meantime, we can get a few things done while this is going. Now, this version of pho is beefy and oniony. On top of the roasted onion already in the broth, we're going to thinly slice some additional white onion and green onion, aka scallions, to rest on top of our bowl later on. And to make the soup even beefier, we are going to incorporate some of this. There are a few beef components in the pho that we're making today. First, we got this beautiful eye of round. This is a lean, cheap cut. I think this was like $6 a pound. Some people use ribeye, some people use, other cuts. We're just gonna basically slice this up, and this is gonna be our raw beef component. It's a little firm now, because I popped it in the freezer for about 30 minutes, so it's gonna make it a little easier to slice. Also, we have these meatballs, just some Vietnamese meatballs. The recipe for these are going to be on the website. I also made a short video for you if you're interested in making these yourself. Again, optional, and you can buy these at the store if you live near a Vietnamese or Asian market. It's firm to the touch. Use a sharp knife to make thin slices down the beef tube. If your slices aren't razor thin off the bat, don't worry, just go ahead and lightly pound them out with a tenderizer. We want the pieces super thin so that they cook to a medium rare when rested atop the hot pho. Once the soup has simmered and the brisket is tender, meaning that a knife can pierce through it smoothly, remove it from the soup and shock it in an ice bath to stop the cooking process and to firm it up. Remove the bones from the soup, their work here is done, these bones are spent, then carefully strain the liquid into another large pot. Oh yeah, that is glorious stuff. This thing should be cool by now, or cold enough. All right, brisket, see that? That is the grain that we cut against that. So all the solids are strained away and we're just left with this beautiful clear broth. Now is your time to taste and adjust seasoning. Wow, that's perfect. Sort of. We could use a little salt, but instead of salt, I'm gonna reach for this stuff right here, fish sauce. It's gonna add a little salt and a little more umami. Do not be afraid to add more salt and sugar if it needs it. All right, the last piece of the puzzle, the noodles. All pho calls for rice noodles. These are fresh noodles that have been frozen, packaged, and here they are. Believe it or not, you can find these at a lot of well-stocked Asian markets, obviously specifically Vietnamese markets. If you don't have access to that though, you can totally use dried rice vermicelli, which you can order online. I'll leave a link for that over on my website in the recipe. These fresh noodles take 15 to 30 seconds to cook if dropped into boiling water. And they're literally done. Remove the noodles from the agua, then run them under cold water to keep them from overcooking into a mush. And now is the time we've all been waiting for. Let's build our bowl of pho. Start by running a large bowl under hot water from the faucet to make sure that it's warm. Then lower in a portion of the cooked rice noodles, followed by a few pieces of cooked brisket, some meatball slivers, white onion, green onion, then ladle on some of that scalding hot broth right over the top. Plop on a bit of our thinly sliced beef, and remember when I told you to save that beef fat when we were skimming? Yeah, that's because I like to add some to the final bowl to give it a little extra luxuriousness. It's optional, but I think it makes the soup a lot better. You should try it. So you can't talk about pho without talking about two things. The garnish plate and the dreaded, infamous sauces. Let's start with the garnish plate. In my opinion, this is what makes pho one of the most fun things to eat because you can totally choose your own adventure. We got some Thai basil, cilantro, mint, jalapenos, some limon, some lime for nice acid, crunchy bean sprouts, and this is kind of a fun one. I was able to find this at the grocery store. It's sawtooth herb. This is one of those aromatics that you're gonna see in Vietnam, but not often here in the States, but I found some. It's basically like a more robust cilantro. And for the sauces, we have our classic chili, our sriracha sauce, and our hoisin, which Nate described hilariously as Chinese barbecue sauce, which I can resonate with that. That's pretty much what it is. So this is how I eat a bowl of pho. I'm not saying it's the right way, it's not the only way, it's how I do it. So I'm just gonna kind of slosh and kind of mix everything around. I'm gonna take, I like it all. I like Thai basil. We're gonna rip some of that up, just kind of crudely pop that in there. I like mint, same thing. Cilantro, of course. Go heavy on the herbs, baby. Crunchy bean sprouts, love those. Jalapenos for the spice and a little bit of crunch. What am I missing? Ooh, some of that sawtooth herb. You can't skimp on the herbature for pho. We're gonna mix it around. That warm broth is gonna kind of mix in with the herbs and kind of unlock their aromatic properties, if you will. First things first though, you gotta try the broth. You can judge a pho restaurant based off of how good the broth is and how loaded their garnish plate is, but that's just one man's opinion. Dang, dude. That was worth 18 to 24 hours. A lot of people will put these sauces in their soup. I like to use them as almost like a dipping sauce for the meat. Get a little spicy, get a little sweet on there. That's how I do it. Fork! Yes, brother. That is how you make pho, just like they do in the big leagues. If you like the video, be sure to like it, all that YouTube got stuff. Sub to the channel if you're new. If you're not new, what up, dude? Come say hi in Discord. We be talking in Discord. We be having good convos. That's all from me. Until next time, toodles.